Let's
Hello,
see who's
hello.
on. Let's check. Hello, hello, everyone. If you're on, please leave a comment so we know we're live. Let's check what's that. I'm going to check my other screen. Check if we are live in the group. I don't see us live yet in the group.
Little delay.
Yeah, let me see. Hello. Give me a second. Oh, it's still sending data, it says.
Okay.
Okay, if anyone is on. Oh, I see 13 viewers, so we definitely are somewhere. I see, yes. So if you're here, guys, please send a message so we can know we're good. We'll start as soon as we see the first message on the right side.
Tell us where you're from. Make a comment.
Yes, very
Tell us
important.
you can hear us.
Yes. Debbie, how are you? Meanwhile, let's catch up.
I'm good. Maybe I was so loud and obnoxious last time I scared them all away.
No, I see. I think we're good. Debbie, hi, Debbie. So let me
Well,
just give another introduction.
hello.
Hi, Lewis.
Hello.
DJ.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Great. That's very helpful. So let me just give another introduction for those who do not know me. I'm Joel. I am the co-founder of Lifepro. And we have here Debbie. And Debbie, I allow you to introduce yourself.
My name is Deb Pelche. I'm a vibration training specialist, and I've been working with Joel for about a year now, and a lot of my customers use his products. So,
yay, awesome. So by the way, does anybody notice that Debbie is pixelated? You know, Debbie, you would do very well as an NFT. You know what an NFT is?
what's an NFT?
A non-fungible token. They tend to be pixelated, so you'd be perfect.
I'm up in Canada, so sometimes we do have internet woes, and I'm looking a little fuzzy on your end. So, our apologies. Hello, Blaze. Hello, Lori. Hello, Dina. Oh,
Yes,
awesome.
awesome, beautiful. So, Debbie, let's start. What should we talk about today?
Well, I think you have like some big news to share, don't you? First,
Oh, what? No, I'll leave that for later.
you'll leave that for later.
Yeah, I
Well,
think let's start the conversation. Let's get some
we'll
people
keep you in
engaged.
suspense till later. So today, I wanted to do kind of a step back. You've got lots of different vibration machines. You've got lots of different modes. Last week, I did a little bit of a very basic intro as a beginner. How do I use a machine? Today, I kind of want to get into some common questions. My common questions are probably your common questions, and just some do's and don'ts. And once I've gotten through that, I want to talk a little bit about the differences and the options available in some of the models with Lifepro, because I know you get a lot of questions about that. And I try to keep things simple and functional. That's always my message. So that's why I'm here today.
Awesome. So let's get started. And for those, if you have any questions, today is your opportunity to type in your question, and we will do our best to answer them live.
What I'll ask you, Joel, is I'm going to step over. I like doing things while I'm talking on the machine.
Okay.
My old eyes can't see 10 feet away. So if there's something that comes up out of my blabbing, please throw that at me. I do have a few notes hidden behind camera.
Okay, great.
And for any of you that have joined me for a session in the past, you'll notice I always have a stool for lots of different reasons. I'm an old lady, and sometimes I need to take a break, but sometimes you're dealing with mobility or fatigue issues. So a bar height stool, something that's going to get your legs at a good 90-degree angle, is the best tool to have with your machine when you're first starting out. And it allows me to ramble longer when my legs get tired. So there's 5 basic things that you need to know about a vibration machine. And it doesn't matter what your experience levels are. Some of these may resonate with you, some may not. The first most important piece that we're going to get into a little bit more detail later is, what are you standing on? So you want to use vibration machines. What do you need to know? The first thing you need to know is what kind of machine that you're using. And there's lots of choices out there. Today, I'm doing all of my demos on the Rumblex Plus model. and it's got all the bells and whistles as far as function. So I'm going to go over different movement types. But it's important to know what type of machine you are using and what type of movement. So when I say, what are you using? A lot of times there's numbers out there. There's a lot of opinion on how to use these machines. There is no exact science. So sometimes when people are asking me questions, it's helpful to understand what type of machine that you're using, because I'm going to probably ask you, is it oscillating? Is it pivotal? Is it pulsation? There's lots of different terms, and we'll get into that a little bit further on. The next thing that's important to understand is proper posture. So point number 2, proper posture is universal regardless of what pose you're doing. The pose that I'm doing right now is a seated position. And if you're going to use your machine seated with your feet on the machine and your butt on a chair, you want to make sure that you're at a good 90-degree angle. I've mentioned that. If you're standing, good posture is about keeping those knees slightly bent so the legs, the shock absorbers, can absorb the movement. I'm going to move my camera up just a hair so I don't cut my head off. That's a little better. So if you're standing on the plate, you want to make sure your knees are slightly bent, and you want to make sure that the majority, probably 70 to 80% of the weight, is on your heels. If it feels like everything's in the shins or you feel like you're falling forward, the body's really lazy. It's always going to try and find an easier way to get things done, and the first thing it's going to do is shift your weight to your toes. And if you've got enough balance and you're able to come up on your toes a little bit, you don't really feel much movement other than the flex in the ankles and the knees. If you put those heels back down, that's your contact point on your feet, as well as the heel of your hand. When those are in contact with the plate, that's when things start moving. So as I said, the body's lazy. So it's going to try and do anything to kind of get you off tilt. So now that you know to keep the heel planted, it might try shifting you left or right. So maybe have a mirror in front of you, or if you feel fatigued more on one side than the other, take a check at your posture. You're probably not standing in balance, okay? Balance, my third point. You want to make sure that you're in balance. If you have an injury, if you've got a bad knee, bad back, bad attitude, your body is in an environment that accelerates things, that makes things happen faster. So sometimes, my bad knee, even though it's not really a bad knee anymore and it's been 25 years, my brain still doesn't trust it. So sometimes I'll shift off to the right, and I'll feel it more prominently on the right-hand side. If you're looking in a mirror or you have a stool in front of you, you'll notice and you'll see your line of sight change just slightly. Another way that your body gets out of balance is sometimes we tuck the bum in, and we get into that old habit of like just hunching over. Tilt the bum back, get a little bit of an arch in there, stick out the girls, pull those shoulders back. And if you were to go lower, you shouldn't feel like you're out of balance. If you're starting to feel out of balance, you're probably at your range of motion limit, okay? If you have to lift the toes to go all the way down on that squat, you're not flexible enough yet. You want to keep those heels planted and only go as low as you can. And if you go as low as you can and you've overcommitted and you're pooping out, it's another reason to have the stool there, just as a safety thing. The next thing is relax. I know that you guys get a few questions on your VIP group, and I get a common question: should I engage the muscles? Should I fight the vibration? Should I resist it? You know what? When I started back in the day, I didn't know, and I used to tell people to fight it and tense up. It's probably in the long run, not the way I would train all of the time, but maybe there's certain muscle groups you're trying to target. And if you're able to differentiate and engage those butt cheeks or engage the abs, I absolutely recommend doing that. If you're doing a position and I tell you to tense up your abs and you look like this, if you have to tense the whole body and fight the machine, that's not what I'm referring to. Maybe on your squats, you want to clench those butt cheeks. Or maybe when you're doing your pelvic tilts, you want to engage your abs. But as a general rule, the whole premise of a vibration machine is that it will build load through these micro movements that you're doing in these positions. So you shouldn't have to fight and resist it. If you're a trained athlete, if you're specifically training for something, there are exceptions to every rule. But if you're dealing with joint mobility, hypermobility issues, pain, just try and relax, hold a good position for your range of motion, and don't resist. So there's never a black and white. Sorry to complicate that one. But as a general rule, when you're starting out, I don't want you fighting it. I want you getting comfortable. You don't even have to move if you're just starting out. But posture sometimes goes out of whack if we're not used to moving in a position. So just hold a static position, make sure you're in balance, and hold to fatigue. You have a question?
Yes, I have a very good question. Should I
Yes.
stand close together or wide apart?
Well, thank you for bringing that one up. Depending on the type of movement that you're in, and that's a really valid question that does play into posture. Right now, I'm in oscillating mode, so I'm just going to step away before I get to my next point. Oscillating is
By the
like
way, before you continue, Debbie, I see 50 people watching. Thank you very much for joining. So make sure to type in your question because today is your lucky day. We're going to answer any of your questions. Well,
and I'll
almost
stay
any.
as long as I need to for that. I have no children this afternoon. So
Okay.
Joel was just asking me about what the relationship on the distance between your feet. And based on your height, there's a term I talk about very commonly in my sessions, which is hip width apart. When you're standing on a machine, whatever that might be, I recommend starting naturally, functionally, which is hip width apart. In oscillating mode, which is how we walk, which is the foundational movement of all vibration platforms out there. Tons of variations, but that's the base movement that all of your platforms include. Think like a teeter-totter. If you're the dude on the edge of that teeter-totter, you're moving the most. If you're right in the middle and you're just the guy sitting in the middle watching it, you're not moving as much. There's actually a big fancy term associated to that. We call that displacement or amplitude. So that's how far you're moving each time the plate is moving you up and down, regardless of which way you're moving. So if you're moving up and down, side to side, teeter-totter, the distance that the machine is moving you with each movement is referred to as amplitude or displacement. And the cool thing on an oscillating platform about that factor is you kind of got the control on the fly. So if you're just standing there and you're doing some passive positions and you're finding it's a little bit too rattly in the head, you can bring your feet closer and minimize that to millimeters of movement. If you want more action, you want more movement, more shake, you control that by widening up your foot position. I normally, as a rule, don't recommend going wider than hip width apart unless you're doing athletic positions, wide squats, some taekwondo moves or some karate moves. But for functional training, fitness, moving and feeling better, don't take on more than you're ready for. And that may even be closer than hip width apart. So that's a control you have on any speed. What I will say, as you get going faster in your speeds, you may need to modify and bring your feet closer together to get to those high speeds. So it's not all about going as wide as possible. And I have many doctors in my day that have said, well, everybody knows that you get more benefit standing wider. Absolutely false. That study does not exist. It never will. This is simply more impact, more movement. So out on the outer edges, you're moving about 7 to 9 millimeters each time. Closer together, 2 to 3, depending on where your feet are at.
Right, and we also need to mention that for those that get headaches or get dizzy, most likely you're standing too wide. You need to
Too
bring your feet
wide
closer.
or too tall. So the headache and the vertigo, if you're locking your legs, and I recommend everybody do this when you first get a machine, if you lock up your legs and you combine it with these slow, choppy speeds, I will get into speeds in a minute, you can even hear it in my voice. So when we're tall like this, you're like the letter A. You're like an A-frame, and all of the movement is going to your head like you're a pendulum. If you bend those knees a little bit, those shock absorbers kick in, and you shouldn't feel it much past the collarbone and the shoulders. It is not harmful in your head, but 99.9% of women, in my experience, sorry to pick on my girls today, we carry our tension in our neck and our shoulders, and when vibration gets in that area, it's a weak spot for us, and we have a tendency to do that resisting thing I was talking about. We guard and protect. You know, it's where our bra, our purse, we get a lot of fatigue in those areas. And if you're fighting the vibration, you're actually amplifying it because you're rigid and you're shaking your head more. So just try and relax, chill, bend the knees a little bit. If throughout the course of your session, you all of a sudden feel it in the head, the body's lazy. It'll try standing you up. This is easier than this. Just like on the floor. You can do this all day long, but as soon as you bend your knees, it's a different story. Okay.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, for sure. So we have Cecile. What's the best move? The slim thighs.
The best move for slim thighs? Well, the secret is it's not a vibration machine thing at all. I would pose the question back, what is the best move for thighs on the ground? So I would say, as a woman that's spent a lot of years getting down to the size that she is, the best position for thighs, the easiest position, well, not easy doing, but easiest to learn, target those squats. Squats and lunges are going to target your big muscle groups, the quads and the glutes. It's kind of a universal position. There's 2 or 3 really key positions that you can do on the machine with variations. Squats are one of them. The metabolism, if you do them early in the day, the biggest group of muscles is going to burn the most calories. Sometimes when you say thighs, the thighs are a big area, and maybe there's different areas we want to target. So you can use different things to target. I'm going to grab an accessory here.
Right.
One of my rainbow balls. These I've been playing with as well. So if you have different accessories, a really good way just to ramp up that basic squat and get the part that wears out the jeans, pick it up on the thighs, put something between your legs, just above where your knees are, and hold it while you're on the plate. Okay, I've got the fancy toys, but I don't know if everybody does. A ball works very well for this as well. A roller. But the reason you want to do that is it's the more you can do while you're doing that squat, the more muscle groups you're going to engage and the quicker you're going to fatigue.
Right.
The whole
Thank you
point
very much.
Means it's to get more done in less time with less effort. So, I mean, you can combine upper body, you can do other things, but squats and lunges are going to be the best bang for your buck, not only in burning calories, but to target those areas.
Right. I agree. I 100% agree.
Awesome.
Thank you for Debbie. Awesome. Let's go to the next question. It's Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Tina Pandolfo. Hello. If you're still on with us, what's the best vibration blade for weight loss?
It's not a machine thing. It's the poses and the regularity of using it. The best way to be successful with weight loss, and I'm going to put weight loss in a category called mid to long-term goals. So if the goal is weight loss, it's going to be exercises like squats, lunges that burn calories for us. We don't get to pick where it comes from. Our body does that. But any plate is going to be at weight loss. What it boils down to is your own individual tolerance, maybe deficiencies you're dealing with. So what type of mode and settings you're using for weight loss aren't as important as the positions you're doing. So standing there, you're going to get some, but you're going to get more if we're putting a little bit effort forth. And one of the easiest ways to accelerate weight loss is to stick with it regularly.
100%.
100%.
Day in, day out, or at least 3 times a week.
And it doesn't have to be, a big 20-minute, half-hour workout. I'm a mom, and I got kids at home homeschooling. 3 to 5 minutes of just getting those legs fired up first thing in the morning could be 2 or 3 simple positions. Get that metabolism, especially if you're post-40, you want to get that metabolism elevated early in the day. So your idle rate's taking a few more calories out of the bank throughout the course of the day. So, and for me, once my day gets going, I'm the worst for sticking with the habit. So if I get her done early in the day, the work's out of the way, I might do some upper body or some core or some other stuff later. But weight loss, get those legs done at a bare minimum. And you could do 3 to 5 minutes daily. That you're not doing a big workout.
Awesome. So Debbie, I want you to come into the screen. I want to say hello to everybody now that we got the groove going. So we're gonna say hello to Debbie. Hi, Debbie. We have Lewis from New Jersey. We have DJ. Oh, we got a DJ in the house from Illinois.
Awesome.
We have Elaine from East Tennessee. What's the weather there like? East Tennessee is which side? Closer to New York. Okay, great. Holly is getting in was not at all easy. Thank you for joining from Tucson, Arizona. We have Blaze. We have Missy. Hi, Missy. Debbie is from Chicago. Blaze is from Huntsville, Texas. Dina. Also, is that 2 people from East Tennessee? Cool. Lori from Las Vegas. And we got Roberta. Hi, Roberta. Lifepro rocks. I agree. Let me put it on the screen. We have Jane, who just got a platform. Congratulations.
Welcome,
Elizabeth
welcome.
from Middletown, New York. Roberta loves her Rumblix Plus. Regina, I love my Rumblix Pro. Bonnie, snake, rattle, roll, and roll. Okay, so Nake, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Let's put it up on the screen. I like the strongest vibration. By the way, Debbie, do you see the screen? Does it show up on your screen also?
I do. Yep.
So I like the strongest vibration most of the time. So I like the edge on P2 on my Pro, only inner if it's closer to bed. Awesome, awesome. Yep. Elizabeth.
Mixing it up is key.
Just received my platform mini. Awesome, awesome.
Oh, cool.
Okay, all right, here we go. We got a good one. How can you make sure your glutes are activating properly so when doing squats instead of your knees? That's a very good question.
Practice, practice, practice. I hate to say that. And a lot of it could, it sounds to me if you're tensing up the knees and the glutes, you're probably doing that thing where it's hard to isolate body groups. You might actually find it easier to isolate the glute in a lunge, but I'm really lazy and I like squats because then I get both legs done at the same time.
Right, but by the way, Debbie, if I may interrupt you, I have an easy answer.
Do it.
The easy answer is the deeper you go in your squat, the more your glutes are going to be working. Number one. Yeah. Number two is the more you stick out your butt, the more you're going to feed in your glutes. So if you're standing and your knees are going past your toes, then you're probably activating your knees more than your glutes. So you really want to sit back like Debbie demonstrated before. Yeah. So Debbie, let's demonstrate one more time.
You want to go like...
Yeah, you want to stick it out. And as a matter of... Right. As a good way to do it is if you Debbie, put your hands on your butt. Yeah, it's very good. Now, glide forward with your knees, right? Do it incorrectly. Yeah, so if you notice, you have less tension right now in your glute muscles, right? And if you sit back, you feel that stretch. Yeah. Right? You feel that glutes, right? So you can actually, if you want to really know if your glutes are working, put your hand on your butt and stick out until you feel that tension, that tightness. You'll know it's really working. But yes, go ahead. You can demonstrate if you wanted to share something.
If you're unable to lift your toes slightly, you're leaning on them. That's another. If you're not stable, I don't recommend doing that. But I'll show you in the lunge very quickly. What you can do with the lunge is basically the same thing. I just put one hand on that glute, and you can feel you're engaged when you're coming up. And that's if you want to practice just clenching that butt cheek and holding still, that's a really good way just to learn to activate that muscle.
Right, and actually I have another idea that all of our platforms come with mini bands. So if you place your mini bands around your knees, and it's basically pulling your knees closer together. So you're forced, you should be pushing. You have a pair of bands?
I do.
Okay, great. So Debbie's going to demonstrate. So the bands are going to force your glutes to activate because pressing your knees outwards, yes, there we go, forces your glutes to be working. There you go. Awesome. Very good.
Different colors, different resistance. Wait. Something like that.
Right. So you push out your knees, and oh boy, your glutes are going to be on fire.
You can feel it on those outer thighs as well. This is kind of the opposite of the ball. So instead of clenching to hold something, your knees are forced outwards, and you can feel it in a different muscle group.
Right. Cecile Varda was the one that asked the question about slimming your thighs.
Yes.
So she's asking, how strong should a plate be? Probably she means what level or what intensity.
It's going to vary for everybody. Everybody kind of hates me because I won't give you an exact number, but it's like going to the gym and saying, how many weights or how much weight should I lift to get muscles? It's going to vary for everybody, but what I would suggest is it's not about going faster and faster and faster. If you're at top speed with your feet wide and you're going 15 minutes, where do you go from there? So you want to make sure that you're pushing yourself and changing up the positions themselves, getting deeper into those squats, maybe adding a little bit of body weight, some weights or something to make yourself heavier on the plate. Sometimes it's about evolving the exercise versus just going longer or higher in your settings. Me personally, when I'm doing squats and lunges in oscillating, the pivotal mode, I prefer a mid to higher speed range with a little bit of a closer foot placement because I have a bad knee. The only time I really use a completely wide stance is if I'm doing core work. So if I'm doing bridges or I'm doing planks, I very, very rarely stand wider than my hips. But that's my personal preference.
Right,
You know,
right. So Bonnie, I'm going to try the squat with a yoga swirl. Love the idea. Yes.
yes,
Let us
yeah.
know how that goes. Jane has a good question. Let's see. How much time do you recommend per day? And should I switch up through all the P's, which you probably mean the preset programs, throughout the week?
It depends on the goals. You know, how many times are you just wanting to move lymph and circulation, or are you wanting to work out? So there's a big fine line between feel good and fitness. And with the fitness piece, you want to make sure you're getting to fatigue at some point. We're not just going through the motions. How often? Absolutely, you can use a machine daily. You can use it multiple times a day, but I don't recommend total much more than about 30 minutes per day. And if you're pushing yourself to fatigue and going through the motions, you shouldn't need more than 30 minutes. The whole point of these machines is to reduce the amount of time you spend exercising. So I know it makes you feel good, and it's sometimes when you get into the massage and some of the relaxation stuff, it's easy to go longer. But if you want to do longer, I recommend breaking that up throughout the course of the day as well.
Right, absolutely. By the way, where's everyone viewing from? Is it YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? Just curious where everybody is streaming from. All right, so we have Roberta, first thing in the morning, you're like me. First thing I wake up, then jump on with my coffee, staring at the window, out the
Nice.
window. Pam, hi, from Connecticut. Missy, yes, it's freezing. It is freezing here too. Debbie, is it cold by you?
You know, we're nice now, but it was brutal last week. I see a few of you from BC here. I'm about an hour north of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we were 3 weeks of minus 30 Celsius, which is brutal. But I have a vibe machine, so I get on it and it warms me up, and I love it that way.
How far is BC from you?
Depending to get to the border, it would take me about 3 hours to drive to the BC border.
So if anyone likes to travel, you should all visit Debbie. Debbie's awesome.
There's been a lot of people. We're not allowed to travel right now, but we will.
Oh, I forgot. Canada is on lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Alice. Hi, Alice. Nancy from Seattle. Marcia from Nevada.
Nice.
Nake from Tampa. You're probably the only warm one here. Barbara from Wisconsin. Ali from Toronto. How far is Toronto from you?
Toronto is about a 4.5 hour plane ride, and I think they got the winter today that we had last week. So I think they got a fair bit of snow going down there.
We have Riley, Susan. Thank you, Nake. It's a pretty unique name. I like it. Mary from Shawn, Kansas. Snowy. Ame. How do you pronounce his name? Ame?
Ame.
And where is he from? From Boer? Where is that? I'm not sure. Is that an American country? Yeah. Hi, Susie. From on the road in Colorado. Awesome. Madam CDO from Philly. I'm waiting on my plate. Awesome. Marcia. Okay, so let's see. Let's go on. All right. Cecile wants to see some squats. Was that and lunges? I think you did that already.
I can certainly do a couple of recaps and maybe go over a few of my next points. How about we do that? So squats.
Bonnie, we're coming for you.
Squat regularly. You don't have to be an old lady. Have some safety here. Trust me. Okay. Squats can be hard if you're dealing with poor mobility, if you're dealing with range of motion issues, but squats are the best way to get those legs strong to help you get back up out of your chair as well. If you look like this, getting up out of your recliner, you need some leg strength. Okay? So a really good variation on a squat that's even easier than a squat is a sit to a stand. So you're sitting in your stool, you're standing up. That's a squat. And you can sit back down. Okay? With a good squat, we talked a little bit earlier, you want to make sure that you're in balance. Your heels are in contact. If you feel like there's more in the shins or the knees or in the front above the knees, you're leaning forward. You want to make sure your weight, 70 to 80% of it is on the heels. And it's just like you're getting ready to sit in a chair. Your range of motion is going to dictate how low you can go, and just hold still. If you're going to find when you're first starting out, not moving in your squats is actually going to fatigue you a lot faster. The body's not used to not moving, and you'll feel the pressure build, those micro movements build the load on your muscles. Squat variations, there's a bazillion of them. They launched
but only do one. Debbie, only one variation. But I want to make sure we answer everybody's questions.
The variation I'm going to show is with the yoga wheel or anything of similar size. Just put that just above the knees, and it forces those inner and outer abductors as well as the hips to a degree. And if you have any problems with the knees collapsing in, this is a really good way to just make sure that you're nice and parallel in your alignment. So that's a variation.
Very good form, Debbie. I got to give you a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we got Bonnie. Husband still gets pain in thighs after working out. What's best way to work out? He does up to 5 minutes sitting or standing on the widest. Does 1 or 2 on the waiver, basically level 1, level 2. Maybe should not do on widest. So
I would bring the feet closer. I would say bring them more to like hip width apart. A lot of times if you're standing more than your natural range of motion in those squats, you might be stressing out the knees or the quads to a degree. So try just modifying depending on your height. You're probably going to be in around that mid position. Try it out for about 3-4 sessions and see if you notice an improvement in that.
Right. Another way is just reduce the time. You don't have to do 5 minutes. Even though 5 minutes sounds very little, even 1 minute is really okay.
If your technique is there and you're pushing yourself, especially if you're dealing with joint or pain of any kind, make your positions harder and it's the duration that sometimes irritates joints and maybe you've got MS or something you're dealing with. Try and fatigue. Joel, you can fatigue in a minute if you make it a really mean one, but you shouldn't need more, in my opinion, 2 to 3 minutes per position. And if you're not pooped out in 2 to 3 minutes, you need to make your positions harder.
Right. So, okay, yes, you're always very helpful. Thank you for chiming in. Linda, congratulations on your turbo. Let us know how that goes. So we have, all right, so we have DJ. Are you really a DJ? You got to tell me.
I was going to say, you're going to sing a song?
What determines what mode you would use on the vibration plate?
Probably a good time to just briefly go over those. And I'm close.
Very good time, but I also don't want to get carried away because you have so many models. So let's just keep it the basics. Let's assume it's a rumblex, and a mode refers to pulsation, vibration, oscillation, lateral, okay, 3D, 4D. So that should cover all our models.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just a preference. My preference is oscillating for everything because that's what movement is represented in them. It's more natural to movement, functional training. Pulsation, it has its place. It's a nice addition to oscillating. If you're dealing with neuropathy, if you want to just start a little bit more softly, that's not maybe the right word, but you'll find it's a little bit gentler and it moves much faster, but much less. It's almost like a little bit of a buzz tickle sensation you'll feel. And the last motion is lateral. So lateral is the entire surface of the plate moving side to side. A great way to move lymph, especially in a seated position, but it's a really good place to start if you do have head sensitivities and you don't want anything near the head. That's a mode I would recommend starting out in. Awesome. But my preference 90% of the time is oscillating, is 90% of what my coaching is. That's what most people have in their platforms is oscillating.
Right. By the way, I just want to tell that today is a very important day. January 17, 2022 is a very big day for us. And I'll tell you in a moment why this day is very significant. So hang in there. So you have DJ, how to use a platform for lymphatic drainage. So I believe you answered half of that question, right? You said that it would be a good idea to do
oscillating. Lymphatic drainage is there's a secret. When you move, lymph moves. So anytime you walk across the floor, step up onto the plate, lymphatic moves when you move. Our physical movement is the pump. But I would suggest Oscillating or lateral are going to be better for lymphatic because there's more amplitude, there's more movement of the body. And again, it really boils down to preference. You know, you might like pulsation, you might like a combination, but it's when you move, lymph moves. And then if there's specific body parts or different areas that you're trying to target, maybe for swelling or something specific, positions that would complement and target those body parts as well.
Awesome, awesome. We have Deb from Queens. Hi. We have Cecile from sunny Arizona. Is that a city in Arizona, or you're mentioning that it's sunny right now in Arizona?
Are you just rubbing it in?
We have Jane. Thank you. I'm looking to maximize and feel good and lose weight a ton. Awesome. You will get there. Suze, North Carolina. Had my meeting with Coach Dennis. Awesome. Brenda, I don't have one yet. However, I didn't get one for Christmas wish list still. I'm in Minnesota. It's cold. Okay. Lori, hi, from Florida. Let's keep going. We have Jetta. I think there's a question coming up. I have the Rumlex 4D. I worked with Amber in one of her videos. That night, my hip has been hurting ever since. What should I do? I am in Virginia.
Okay, it probably depends on what you were doing. A lot of times when you're having an issue, I don't have a crystal ball. Was it a standing position? Was it a squat? If you're having a pain issue since then, I would suggest 9 times out of 10, if it's a prolonged pain or it was probably pointing something out that might have been there. I don't know if you have hip issues, if that's a weak spot for you, but that I would prefer to talk with you more. I don't really have enough information. Let us know what you were doing. And if I had to guess, I would say that you were probably too wide or you pushed too long. Would we? And
it could be, right.
Was this like a week ago? Is this a year ago? How long have you been doing?
Yeah, it's a very in-depth question, and there's a lot of information we need to. By the way, Debbie does not work for Lifepro. She's an outside consultant. She's available to be hired if anybody needs any expert advice and vibration training. Just letting you know. To Jane, sorry we weren't so helpful with your question, Jada. We weren't trying to ignore, but there's so much information we really need to know in order to answer that. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. Jane, Connecticut is very cold, snowing. All right, let's see Lewis. Lewis has a good question here. Can you show lunge again on the Rumlex? Also have Rumlex Pro. What speed is best for strengthening the lunge in the lunge or squat positions?
There's no best speed. It's knowing whether you're challenged or not. What I haven't said, and I just want to bring up now before I go do the lunge, is whatever speed you are using or you like, make sure you mix it up. The body gets used to anything after a period of time. So if you're doing P2 all the time or you're using speed 60 all the time, after a period of time, your body kind of gets used to that. So even just mixing your speed, dropping it, bringing it up is a good way to confuse the body and kind of keep it guessing and working. So lunges again, very quickly. There's a couple of different ways to do them. But the basic premise of a lunge is you're going to put one foot on the plate, and a little point I will make out with a lunge. I always say make sure you're not standing like you're on a balance beam. Have your back foot positioned a little bit so that you've got a bit of a wide stance. If your legs are completely in a line, you're probably going to spend your time, pirouetting and doing things, not paying attention to glutes and quads. So you want to make one foot on the machine. This leg is to be straight up and down. Not like this, not like this. Straight up and down like a table. That back leg it's actually hard on the back leg. That back leg acts kind of like a rudder. And I would say if you're not doing lunges now regularly, just hold still and see how it feels. If you find that you're really wobbling lots, widen up that back leg. If you're finding it's too intense, bring that single foot closer to the center. Just like when you're standing on the machine with 2 feet. Okay. Oh, I've run out of time. And then, just start by holding still. If you're able, the lower you go, like Joel said, the more you're going to feel that glute and the hamstring engage. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
And of course, you got to do both sides.
So we got a DJ part of our community. So DJ, is it DJ? Oh, her name is Debbie?
Yes.
Debbie?
It's all about Debbie's today.
A lot of Debbies. So,
of course.
So you need to share with us your favorite mix, DJ Debbie. I think you said your name is Debbie. Awesome. Lori, yes, nice to see you. Brandes. Hi. Okay, here we gotta go from the DJ. Would the plate be okay to use if one tends to have chronic headaches?
You know, it depends on the chronic headache. What I would say with chronic headaches, you've usually got your triggers, you know what they are. So if it's one of those days where you would expect one, I don't ever want to say that a machine causes or takes away, but it will amplify conditions within your body. So if you're dehydrated, you know, you're probably going to spark a headache. If you know you're having a
Right.
vertigo, you know, so just pay attention to your own sensitivities. What I will say is if it's due to lack of blood flow, chronic tension, there's a lot of reasons a machine can help. But it's one of those things you're going to have to navigate through. I would absolutely recommend ensuring that those knees are bent and you're doing all the things to minimize the vibration to the head. Maybe start seated in a chair just to see how you navigate and feel before you stand on it.
So we have a good one. Kim says this. I use my Lifepro Oculux for headaches. Yes, that is actually probably the best suggestion.
An even better.
I'm joking. All right. So somebody asked here, Brenda asked about a core workout. Do you want to show, we can't really do a core workout on this video. Do you want to show your favorite core exercise possibly?
I can.
Are you in the mood?
One. There's lots and lots. I'll give you one piece of advice first. Crunches are the worst exercise, in my opinion, for core, because it's only one group of muscles. So if we're talking core, I like to get the most bang for my buck with everything. So for me, it's going to be planks.
Yes, planks.
So the way that I like to do planks, especially for ladies that don't do push-ups now, I like to turn them around. Oh, and I'm going to have too much in my way here. So I turn my planks around. This is one of those exceptions where I would recommend a slow oscillating movement or lateral because it's about destabilizing the core. If you're on top speed and you try your plank the way that I'm about to show you, your feet might just fly right off the machine. It's too much movement. So for planks, you want to start with your feet really wide. Yes, it's a push-up. A push-up is a plank. But the reason I love doing it this way is you can do all kinds of dynamic movement as well, right? You can come down to your forearms. And just a real quick trick, if you have trouble back, if you have bad back and you don't do these types of exercises because your back is weak, flip it around. Put your heels on the platform and lift, do like a bridge almost. This is a really good way to get the core going without hurting the back, if that's an issue for you. Okay?
Right. Very
So that's
good.
my
Thank you.
favorite exercise. There's a bazillion plank variations. You are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion.
Awesome.
As I
Awesome.
say.
Thank you very much. You did it. You're a great model.
Oh, I have a new outfit today from one of my clients. She sells these shirts, so I normally am dressed in black. Today I'm purple and pink.
Awesome. Awesome. So we have Nikki, been using whole body vibration since April 21. Started with Turbo 3D, then make at Roblox Pro. Initially used all three. Higher speed every day, then change speed P2 every other day. Stronger, thinner, thighs and cellulite disappearing most of the time. I just stood on it.
Awesome.
AM, lunch, and PM. Just keep using it. Awesome. Very good.
Yep.
Lewis, thank you for showing the lunch so clearly. So thank you, Debbie.
I love the shirt dress too. Carmen Wright is the one who designed this, by the way. I just have to plug that out. I didn't know she was going to be here today. Thank you.
Who did you say?
Carmen Wright. Just said love the
she's
shirt
on
dress.
live?
She designed it, what I'm wearing today.
Okay, so we have Deborah. Is there an explanation of what the P1, P3, and the Rumble class sequences through? In other words, what level of time on each level? Oscillating both lateral. That's a very good question. Unless Debbie had the answer, I know the answer. But basically, it is not a specific program. I don't remember offhand the actual sequence. But the purpose why we designed P1, P2, P3 was just for people who wanted to get a quick workout in and wanted to gain the benefits from all the modes and just wanted a quick workout or change routine up. So it's not like P1 is for this, P2 is for this. It's more about just changing it up and getting you to constantly progress.
I agree with that. I refer to them as variable programs,
right.
which speaks to what I was saying earlier. I want you to mix things up. I want your body not getting too used to any one thing. So in my opinion, that's kind of there is no, there's some preferences, and we've all got,
Right.
I like this best for this, that, but there is no black and white.
So by the way, before we get to the next one, so I wanted to answer, I think you're all wondering what is so significant about today, January
Yeah.
17, 2022. Well, I'll tell you. Today, we reached 20,000 members in our VIP group. So that is a huge milestone. Although it's not a reflection of how many lives we impacted, we probably, if anyone remembers or anyone knows me long enough, my mission is to impact 1 million lives. Just so you know, we're about, give or take, about 750 lives impacted. So,
1,000.
yes, 750,000 people, 750,000 lives that we impacted so far in the last few years. So it's a big deal. So I'm just saying that even though we only have 20,000 people in our group, it's not a reflection of that, but it's very exciting. Those took up the opportunity to join us in this group. And therefore, I decided that I'm going to award the 20,000 member for a prize. I don't know yet what the prize will be, but her name is Debby Musto. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name. So congratulations for being a 20,000 member.
That's awesome.
And we'll figure out how to find you and award you with a gift. Just a random gift for being an awesome member.
That's cool. Congratulations.
So, yes, it's a big deal. So Sherry has a good question. Sherry says, is it normal to feel nauseous, dizzy when starting out? I'm okay in a seated position, just if I try to stand. So first of all, I want to tell you right away, yes, it's 100% normal. Now, Debbie will take the floor.
I will say you're not pregnant. It's not uncommon when you start getting active in general. It just happens quicker on a vibration machine. Toxicity, lymphs moving. There's all kinds of junk in the trunk. And if you are feeling nauseous or you are prone to nausea when you're active or starting something new, it's not uncommon. What I would suggest is ensure not to because you can if you're standing too wide and you're prone to nausea or vertigo, that will amplify it. So just make sure you're starting in very short, more frequent sessions with the feet closer together, and you should normally see that dissipate within a few sessions. But know that it's not uncommon, especially, I don't want to say that people are toxic, but we everybody's got a little bit of environmental toxicity, maybe meds,
Right.
maybe you've been going through a cleanse. That's generally more what it's related to in my experience.
Right. So Debbie, super helpful session. Thank you, Debbie.
Oh,
well, Debbie, right. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. We have a lot of Debbies, really. Wow.
I know, right?
I don't know. It looks like Debbies attract Debbies.
That's right.
I love the reverse planks. Yes.
Awesome. As
so
do
nice
I.
To see you.
No, you don't stay there. You progress eventually, but till you get the arms going, it's too hard to do planks with your upper body because most women I know, the upper body's going to succeed before the rest of you. So switch it around.
Right. So first of all, Roseanne, since you're on live, I want to say thank you so much for your yoga sessions. Yes. Although I do not participate, I do thank you very much for that. Okay, so naked, so golden nuggets. Okay. Living for this, Debbie. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes, Debbie's amazing. I'm just gonna show all the compliments, by the way.
What is the
Carmen? Oh, Carmen is here. Is that the one that you were talking about?
Yes.
Carmen, awesome. Thank you very much. Right. So this is So let's address this. So Holly said, "Deb, post a picture of your shirt. It's too choppy to admire." We agree. So we're gonna figure out the choppiness and pixelated. We're still figuring out.
As long as you can hear me. I was saying to Joe earlier, it hides my age and my wrinkles. So it's perfect.
Come on. Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Great job. So Nike wants to add that P2 is the strongest, P1 has more pulsation, I like it before bed, haven't used P3 all that much. Awesome.
Yeah. At least you're mixing it up. That's good.
Yes. Okay. Oh, okay, hold up. We have 2 more questions. I think we're going to be done for the evening. What is the max we can use our plate per day?
I get this question once a day, 3 times a day, 10 times a day. How long?
Wait, and I get it 30 times a day.
Okay, so it's a common one, and I'm glad you asked. You know, how long can you go for a walk? How long can you go for a swim? It depends on your goals and it depends on what you're doing on the plate. So I try to put a max of 30 minutes per day. I don't want to get into a whole bunch of chats as to why or why not. At the end of the day, study hasn't been done, you know. I have people that use the machine much longer than that, but it's kind of a case by case thing. If I were to give you a general number, 30 minutes a day, and I would recommend no more than 5 to 10 minutes per session if you're a new user. See how you're feeling. You know, when you first starting out, it feels so good if you're doing feel good stuff, but that's sometimes why people get nauseous or they're up all night because they're wired. So be conservative when you're first starting out and build on durations. Don't think getting on this thing for 30 minutes a day because it's New Year's is going to make up for 20 years of doing nothing. So that's my little answer to that
Right,
question.
and I have to add to that, okay? And you're going to probably, most likely, I'm going to be expecting a bunch of questions. What do you mean? It says in the manual 10 minutes, and now we say 30 minutes. So just to clarify, so we say 10 minutes because we are aware we have a wide range of users, and we just have to be safe and make sure that if you're the first time user and you might have medical conditions or whatever the case might be, we really try to limit it and we want to make sure that you're safe. But of course, you can follow Debbie's advice. I trust whatever Debbie says. If Debbie said I should stand up, I stand up. Whatever she says.
I'll add to that as well, Joe. The number one other question I get related to time is, well, my machine is set for 15 minutes. Just because your machine has a preset duration does not mean you need to commit to the full time. So the number one thing I get from new users about why I'm so sore, why I've been on the toilet all morning is just because the machine is preset for 10 to 15 minutes, whatever that might be, doesn't mean you need to commit to that. If you're dealing with a health issue and you've been inactive for some time, be conservative. And then, you know, certainly 10 minutes most for the first couple of weeks when you're first starting out.
Okay, great. Roseanne is asking, yeah, Joel, when are you going to do some yoga with me?
Wouldn't that be fun?
It'll be so funny. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm going to look like a fool. So if you're ready for that.
She's such a good coach. She'll be wonderful.
Right. Okay, so Nike, thank you, Joel and Debbie. DJ, thank you very much for the session. Nike, he's always sitting behind the desk. That is true, as of late, that's for sure. All right, so I find this live session and Coach Dennis. Yes, awesome. Thank you, Coach Dennis. Thank you, Joel, Debbie, and Coach Dennis. Okay, to Jen says, thank you for your help. I think we're going to do the final question and then we're going to close out for the evening. Can you do high intensity training on a pro? Most likely she's referring to the Rumlex Pro.
You can do high intensity training on any of these platforms. You know, think of the machine as an environment. What you do on it are the same things you would do on the floor. There may need to be some modifications, but high intensity training, whatever that looks like to you, this is just a stimulus or an environment in which you do those exercises on. Absolutely.
Right, yes, I agree. You can think of it as like a weight, like a dumbbell, right? Can you do high intensity training with a dumbbell? Yeah, absolutely. By the way, so if I still have your attention, and if you shop on Amazon, if you go to our store, although we send you all to our website, I want to let me try to grab a link. Basically, if you go to our store, you can follow us. And when you follow us, I don't even know why it's important, but I just want to have some followers there. So let me just get you that link. And you click follow, and I think you get notified by whenever we go live on Amazon. So
that's a good reason to follow on Amazon. They're not always in the same place, for sure.
Right. So I'm gonna post a link. I don't know if you're gonna see the link. If you see the link, click it, and then you'll see on the top left side there is like a follow button. Click follow.
Yep.
If you can do that for me. All right. So Chell says, "What's the best exercise to do before bed to relax?" And that's it. No more questions.
Depends what you're trying to relax. If I had to give you a one answer question, I would say You stand on it for maybe 2 to 3 minutes, do some light pelvic tilts, get some movement going in the spine. If you tend to have restless leg, or those are areas of concerns, maybe into a bit of a squat, blood flow going, but keep it minimal if you're doing it right before bed. I don't want to get you wired and get that mind going all night. So 2 to 3 minutes of some light movement, feet closer at maybe a mid-intensity speed would be my recommendation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. And everyone, thank you so much for joining. And if you want more of these lives with me or without me, share your opinion in the comments. And we take your opinion very seriously and your feedback. So thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for trusting us with your health and wellness. And thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you for letting me join. Congratulations on 20,000 members, Joel. That's awesome.
Awesome. Take care.